Vito! Vito for Senate!
Thank you.
1, 2, 3. Vito for Senate! Vito for Senate! Vito for Senate!
That's it. We got the message. Listen, we have no insurance. Please don't get hurt on your way down. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. My friend asked me if I was nervous. I said, how could I be nervous being in front of such a great bunch of people, such warm people that came here? Usually the photo's done afterward, after you've heard of the person speak. You actually took the photo first, right? So what kind of trust is that? Oh, I guess we're going to like him. So, I love you guys, and thank you so much again for coming. And we want to get the thank yous out of the way. Yeah, you can applaud for that.
好多謝大家今日俾個機會呢度，可以同我一齊影下相，聽到佢嘅政綱，聽到大家需要知道你嘅社區發生緊咩事。多謝大家嘅時間。
Okay, thank you. The first thank you is Bernard for doing the translations.
好多謝啊！多謝大家上面俾我哋個翻譯，多謝。
Our host, Kenny, for inviting us here and setting this all up. My co-campaign managers, Heidi and George, for helping us do this. My friend Steve Chen, a fellow retired NYPD member.
喺度啲前警察啊，見到我都驚咗少少。
And my friend Dmitry Kugel, who is running for the Assembly in the 47th, and he's taking the time out from his busy campaign schedule to come and join us this evening. So I want to thank him as well.
You want to stand up and turn around and wave?
Stand up, Dmitry. Show everybody, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the respect.
So I'm running in the 17th Senate District.
17選區 Senate。
And that covers the areas where we are right now. Bensonhurst, Bath Beach, Diker Heights.
Bensonhurst 有冇人住 Bensonhurst 啊 ？Bath Beach 有冇朋友喺住 Bath Beach 啊 ？Diker Heights 有冇啊？Bath Beach 都有啊 ，Diker Heights 都有喎，全部都係屬於佢嘅選區，即係喺你哋嘅選票上面會見到佢哋嘅名嘅，佢嘅名嘅。 一陣間咧，如果大家唔清楚自己選區喺邊度嘅話，有兩個方法，我哋一陣間教你啊，同埋咧後邊有啲地圖可以俾大家睇嘅。
Other neighborhoods as well: Sunset Park, sliver of Borough Park, sliver of Bay Ridge, Kensington. So we have all the Gravesend. All of these areas, we cover it. I cover a large area, and pretty much everything I cover in the Senate, Dmitry covers in the Assembly for this area. Yep.
唐人嚟講咧 ，Sunset Park 啦都有有一部分係屬於佢嘅選區㗎嚇，可以一陣間睇地圖可以了解一下。好。
And if Dmitry doesn't cover it, my friend Lester Chang, who couldn't be here with us tonight, he covers the other side of it.
我哋有兩個Assembly 嘅參選嘅，一個叫 Dmitry， 一個叫 Lester Chang， 兩個咧都係喺個Vito 嘅範圍裏邊嘅個選區裏邊嘅。 所以咧喺你哋嘅選票上面咧，會見到佢哋其中嘅一個名嘅。
So I want to talk to you tonight about something that everywhere I go, wherever I go, whatever community, it is on everybody's mind, and that is public safety and how horrible it's gotten over the last 8 years.
好重要一樣嘢，佢每一次同社區嘅溝通嘅時候，有一樣嘢每一次都提起嘅。 就係社區嘅安全感啊！你感覺安全嗎？安全啊！哦，唔安全。阿姐講個唔字大聲少少啊！你今日覺得安唔安全啊？安全。OK。No 係嘛？
You got to translate for me. So. I had the unfortunate duty to call a press conference last week because a young man from this community was murdered at BJ's.
係咪啊？上個星期上咗報紙啊，佢係第一個參選嘅行出嚟話 BJ 呢個死人事件係嘛？ 呢個係直接影響我哋華人㗎嗬。
He was murdered over a backpack while he's shopping with his family, right, with his friends.
出街買個背囊咁就冇咗條命啦。
This is outrageous, and this should never happen.
太過浪費，太過可惜啦。
I also recently, last week, met with business owners along the Bay Parkway corridor. And they shared with me so many horrible stories of how their businesses are being impacted by the policies that are put into place right now, where criminals can steal hundreds and hundreds of dollars of property, do it again and again and again, and the police will not do anything because the district attorneys will not prosecute.
上星期佢喺 Bay Parkway 個範圍嗰度咧，亦都同啲商戶接觸過，同啲小商家溝通過，安全感、生意上面容易俾人小手偷嘢每一個小生意都係有同樣嘅 complaint 嘅。點解咧？佢哋捉咗之後，根本檢控官唔會去起訴佢哋㗎。
So I don't know if you know, but I am a retired police lieutenant. I began my career in the police department in 1986, when this city was almost at the bottom, at the worst shape it's ever been.
Vito 喺1986年嘅時候咧，已經係參加咗紐約嘅警隊㗎啦。佢喺紐約警隊服務到佢而家退休。
And when Mayor Giuliani came in, everybody remember Mayor Giuliani? Yeah. When he came in, yes?
Yeah.
We started in the 90s enforcing a whole bunch of very small crimes. Now, I personally worked in Manhattan from Grand Street, which is Lower Manhattan, all the way up to 125th Street, and I did that for most of my career.
喺 Giuliani 嘅時代咧，佢咧係有一個特別嘅一個警察嘅一個特別團隊嘅。佢 take care 咧由唐人街 Grand 街嗰度咧一路上到
125th Street。
125街由 Grand Street 一路上到125街都要巡邏啊。
And just a fair point, that's the station. If you saw the video of a black police officer and a black perpetrator fighting, where the perpetrator had the police officer in a headlock, that was 125th Street and Lexington Avenue. That was my station. That was a cop that didn't work for me, but that was a cop that was in my command. And I spoke to the commanding officer of Manhattan, and that cop is doing fine. So we want to be happy for that. Yes.
大家如果有留意視頻嘅社交網絡嘅話咧，亦都會見到一個 video 咧，就係有一個非洲裔嘅人咧，同一個警察喺地鐵站裏邊摔跤箍住個警察係咪啊？有冇睇到就係佢負責，佢就係駐守嗰個警局㗎啦，125街嘅警局㗎啦。
So over the years, from say 1990 until about 2016, we brought crime down from very high levels to very, very low levels, especially in the subway. And we also had low crime rates in the street as well. 喺1990年開始咧，一路到2016年呢段時間咧，紐約嘅犯罪率咧已經可以好明顯咁減低咗㗎啦。And we did that. I'm going to speak from personal experience, but this is pretty much ubiquitous throughout the entire city as the strategy that we used. We stopped people in the subway for doing very minor things. Could be they jumped over a turnstile, smoking a cigarette, littering, drinking a beer, walking through train cars, and other very, very small crimes like that.
喺當其時佢嗰個政策咧，即警察用嘅政策咧，就係由小案開始解決。搭地鐵唔俾錢地鐵站裏邊食煙或者地鐵站喺裏附近有任何小型嘅罪案，已經去解決呢個問題，已經去開始去執行佢警察嘅責任，去可能係拘捕佢哋咁樣嘅。
And the reason we did that was not to pick on people. The reason we did that was to try to find bad people who were coming in the subway to victimize passengers. 個重點咧並唔係話要歧視任何一樣嘢，或者歧視任何一個人，
個重點咧係要阻止佢哋，等佢哋唔可以喺地鐵站裏邊更變成一個針對其他乘客上面嘅傷害或者攻擊。
So if we stop somebody and they had a warrant or on parole or had a history of committing crimes in the subway, then we would arrest them. And we would do that because in our mind, that's called proactive policing, and we wanted to get them out of the subway because really at 2 o'clock on a Saturday morning, what the heck were they doing in the subway if not looking for victims?
嗱，好簡單啦，喺啲小罪案上面咧，能夠將呢啲犯小罪嘅人咧捉咗，可以你見到嘅時候咧，查身份嘅時候咧，可以知道佢以前有冇從犯啦，或者而家有冇一個法庭有冇一個拘捕令啦，將呢啲人捉走咗之後，呢、個就變成一個預防性嘅一個策略啦，預防佢哋去犯更嚴重嘅罪行。
And starting in about 2016 or so, maybe a few years before that, all of the tools that we used were removed from the police department by the one-party Democrat rule.
2016年嘅時候，紐約嘅政府係偏極藍嘅，係好重嘅民主黨嘅。呢、個時候將好多警察所需要用嘅策略都全部刪除咗，唔俾佢哋用，變成咧咁樣啦。
They took away things like they decriminalized, it's called, little minor crimes like public urination, public defecation, littering, loitering for the purpose of selling goods. So we have more peddlers around, which jam the subways and jam the streets. And they took away all of those minor offenses which the police department used to speak to people and find out who the bad people were.
有幾個有一啲細嘅罪行咧，佢哋甚至乎咧將佢唔屬於一個犯罪就例如譬如啦係隨處小便啦，開音量太大聲啦，呢啲咧仲有佢其他例子咧，佢都將呢個變成唔係一個罪行嚟到去計算嘅，咁變咗係唔可以捉佢哋噶啦，唔可以拘捕佢哋嘅。
In addition, the Democrat Assembly with a Democrat Senate and a Democrat governor, they passed a whole bunch of different laws that hurt the police, along with the city council who did the same thing by removing qualified immunity from the police officers.
眾議院、參議院、國會都係重民主黨嘅，都係民主黨做大多數。佢哋咧批咗好多唔同嘅法例，係偏向到令到方便佢哋。What's the effect of this kind of law?
Which one? Qualified immunity?
Okay.
No, that one or no? The other ones?
It was like all the three houses is Democrat.
All the three crowds are so there's no, like in life we look for balance, right? We all think about balance. We all think about checks and balances. We all think about, down the middle, not one way to the right, not one way to the left. Right now, with all Democrats, everything has moved to the left.
嗱，我哋喺人平時嘅生活上面，我哋需要咩咧？爭取平衡啊嘛。當呢個政府係全面偏藍，三個層次嘅政府都係偏藍嘅時候，變成一黨獨大嘅政府，一黨獨大嘅政府就失去咗個平衡啦。全部都係偏藍，全部都係偏民主黨嘅。
So we've heard of the cashless bail. Everybody heard cashless bail?
無需保釋金，無需保釋金，捉咗就放㗎啦，唔使俾錢㗎。以前都話要俾50蚊啊，100蚊、50蚊都唔使俾，無需保釋金。
So that means that if someone gets arrested for some serious crimes, they go before a judge, and instead of being remanded, they get let go.
So pretty much all the crime.
Very few crimes are remandable, meaning you stay in jail.
大部分所犯嘅罪大部分俾人拘捕嘅，都係因呢個無需保釋金嘅法案咧，可以放翻晒出嚟㗎，即係呢邊捉呢邊就放啦。
The person who killed Derek Chen had a gun on him. Had he been arrested, and had he not shot Derek, had he just grabbed the bag and ran, and the police caught him, they would say that it is not a violent crime because he didn't use the gun.
Derek Chan 啊，俾人哋槍殺咗，就係因為搶個背囊啊嘛。如果佢係冇攞支槍出嚟殺阿 Derek 嘅話，就算身上有槍，捉到都要放翻佢。
Which is crazy. That doesn't need translation. It's crazy. Because the reason a bad guy has a gun is because if the person resists, he's going to use it. And that's what happened, and that's why the poor Chen family has to bury their child tomorrow.
咁嘅情況之下，壞人手上有支槍，佢嘅解釋就係壞人需要保護自己。結果就係點呢？死咗一個人啦。佢嘅家人損失咗一個佢哋好重視嘅一個小朋友，都唔係小朋友啦。
So the reason that I asked for support from me, but I also asked support from my friends Dimitri and for Lester and for Lee Zeldin and for Michael Henry is because we need to chip away at the supermajority in Albany so that they will listen to us. Because if we don't send this message, they will continue to do what they've been doing.
好重點嘅喺你呢啲區有幾個好重要嘅位置，第一個就係 Vito 啦，參議院 Senate 啦，第二個州長李修頓 Lee Zeldin， 檢控官 Michael Henry 啊，仲有你哋 Assembly 嘅有兩個，一個就 Lester Chan， 一個就 Dimitri， 好重要，你哋今次投票要投共和黨。將呢個一黨獨大偏激嘅政府矯正翻過嚟。
And there's so many things I could stand here for an hour, but the other thing they've done is they've stopped enforcing mental health law. So people that need help are not getting it. Most of these mental health people, most of these homeless are mentally ill. They need to be placed in secure mental health facilities so they can't hurt anybody.
嗱，另外一樣嘢影響我哋社區好重大嘅就係精神病、精神失平衡嘅病人係唔需要住精神病院㗎啦，而家佢就咁放翻出街嗰度啦。呢啲係咪影響到我哋而家好有可能呢啲流浪案有一部分都係呢啲有精神病嘅人啊？對我哋影響有幾大
？And Michelle Go, poor Michelle Go, was on the platform at Times Square, and she was murdered. She was pushed in front of a train by a mentally ill individual who should have been in a hospital.
Michelle Go 是在 2 years ago, right?
I've lost track. Last year.
在上年的时候，在时代广场 Times Square 的地铁里面，给一个人推到地铁上面的那个 Michelle Go， 基本上是我们 Asian 的第一个出来比较出名的命案啊，那个就是给一个精神病人推出去的。
And what the Democrats have done is that they've closed hospitals and removed beds. So there's no place to even put these people, even if we had the will to do so.
现在民主党他把那些医院都关掉，把床位减少，就是现在变成一个情况，就是民主党做了一个情况，就是我们想医那些有精神病人的人都没位置给他住，没位置去照顾他们了。
And that's the safety part.